our nation is in an extreme crisis right now of leadership, and so focusing specifically on the actions on the ground and in Afghanistan. And I know you've had some great guests on, Don Bolduc and Eric and John Bennett are great friends of mine, and so that I'm sure that they've laid out a lot of this. But for the audience that's listening, it's not as the White House is trying to try to slide away from. It's not an argument between ISIS-K, which is just absolute noise. All of these enemy elements are all the same. They're one and the same. They're a radical form of Islamist ideology, and you can call them what you want: Al-Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS-K, the Haqqani network, Ansar al-Salam. You can call them whatever you want. They're all one and the same. We've essentially surrendered. You can go back a week or so when Biden was talking about trading with the Taliban, that he mentioned the idea that we might be able to trade with them in one of his speeches. And I knew then this was a complete, utter, and total surrender to an enemy force that, for your audience, this is not an enemy that we can work with. This is the worst type of warfare that we have ever experienced, and it's going to get worse. People need to understand, the American people need to shore up and understand that the sacrifices that we are about to see, the brutality that we are about to experience in the coming weeks, days, weeks, and months against any American citizen that is left behind, particularly women. This is not a kinder, gentler enemy. Some of these other former military guys that have gotten out there, and I heard one admiral talking the other day about this is maybe a Taliban 2.0. Bullshit. Excuse my Irish. This is not a Taliban 2.0. This is a relentless, this is a thuggery type of enemy that they are going to be brutal. They are going to try to get as many Americans as they can possibly get their hands on, and America will be held hostage for a long time.
But first, Sergeant, I have to ask you, given your experience with the Taliban and in Iraq and other places fighting Islamic Jihad, am I missing something? But I thought, and Raheem Kassam was one of the ones that taught me for many years, isn't one of the basic tenets that they fight under is that it is part of their religion when they're doing jihad to lie to the opposition, to tell the opposition anything they want to hear? So when you see generals and you see these politicians, you see these media types up there talking about the Taliban, we turned the perimeter over, we're working with them, we turned the list over of all the people because they're going to be the government, we got to work with them. Isn't a basic tenet that they are supposed to lie to the enemy for their religion, sir?
Absolutely. And anyone can find it. It's written in English. This is their entire doctrine. And within their doctrine, which our generals should be reading, but they're apparently not, they would have known that they are obliged to lie as long as the goal is obligatory. And the obligatory goal is to promote Islam and Islamic law. Allah is divine law. And that's exactly what they're doing. And if our generals actually picked this book up and read it, Allah's divine law or Islamic law in English, they would have known that the Taliban was lying to them. And it also says they're not allowed to, a law says you're not allowed to barter a truce deal unless you're weaker than your enemy and you need time to rebuild your forces. So we had them on the run under the Trump administration. We were crushing them. And Trump's plan to retrograde out of there was a good plan. Biden's plan is a failed plan. And if anyone, any general especially, I mean, this really is criminal negligence. If the generals can't pick up the enemy's threat doctrine and read it, that's criminal negligence. We throw doctors and lawyers in jail for criminal negligence. They won't even call it what it is. It's Islamic terrorism. And now we're allowing our enemy to dictate what we do and to dictate our security and safety. I've been on the ground over there. They don't understand and they don't comply with anything other than Islamic law and what they want to do. And the only thing they do understand is an enemy or someone that will come in and crush them.